I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, I want to cover a couple of topics that are in the news here, and also a couple of comments, respond back to a couple of comments I've got. So a few people have asked me a lot on Twitter and on my YouTube channel here. Owen, can you comment on Mr. Eby saying that he's going to overrule the municipalities and make fourplexes legal on all detached house lots in the province? Do you think this actually goes through, and will it create a supply boom? No, it's not. It will go through. I think the municipalities are going to fight this tooth and nail. I've talked about this a couple of times, and as I've said before, let's just wait to see what happens. It's all speculation at this point. But of course, the municipalities are going to fight this tooth and nail because Mr. Eby is like a typical politician, but a socialist politician. And they're the worst. They will tell you anything you want to hear to buy votes. That's just how they roll. All politicians and all political parties are the same, as you guys know. I despise all of them. It's the lowest of the low. Tune all of it out. The government isn't your friend, never have been, never will. Instead, keep your nose to the grindstone, do whatever it takes. You work on things that you have control over in your life. And that's things like buying a house, investing your money, earning more money, moving up the career and pay scale, reading books, staying in shape, spending quality time with your family, and ignore all the rest of the stuff that's in the mainstream media and the politics. Vote for the party that you think is going to interfere the least with you. That's how I tell people to vote. That's generally conservatives, but they're not all that great either. But Mr. Eby, I mean, sure, let's just quadruple the housing in every neighborhood in Vancouver. So what about roads? What about parking on the street? What about transit? Mr. Eby, just like all these politicians, totally ignore all that stuff. Remember, how many times did I tell you guys? Everything sounds good on paper, but there's a reaction to all these things. The NDP and a guy like David Dweeby here never talk about any of the reaction. It's just the sunshine and roses stuff. We're going to triple or quadruple the number of houses that are being built without any regard to any of the things like infrastructure and sewage and hydro grids and parking on the street and everything else. The other thing I'll say to this, just a few other little problems here. First off, I sell a lot of homes on the west side. I just had 3 detached homes that I sold on the west side here in the last 6 weeks. Areas like Kerrisdale, Dunbar, Cambie Corridor. A trend that I'm finding more and more, especially on the west side, is that the buyers for these homes, all 3 of these homes, 2 of the 3 homes I sold, 2 of the 3 had a mortgage helper in the basement. One was a 2-bed, 1-bath, and the other one was an old heritage home and had a 1-bed, 1-bath. I'm the listing realtor. Both the buyers on those homes, from what I understand, were going to convert these homes back to single-family homes. In other words, they were going to remove the suites and put a staircase back down there and turn that into a kid's bedroom or a games room or a rec room or whatever, a media room. And I'm finding that more and more. When you're dropping 3, 4, $4.5 million on a home, what difference is it going to make to get a $2,000 a month mortgage helper? They don't need that $2,000 a month. So if anything, in a lot of areas like the West End, or West Side, Vancouver, I'm finding that maybe that number of secondary suites and mortgage helpers is diminishing. It's shrinking. I know if I were to drop $4 million on a detached home, the last thing I would want is some tenant living down below me, cooking and listening to music and having his friends coming and going. I would just convert that back to a games room or an office or anything else. So that's a trend I'm seeing. I'm also seeing it a bit on the east side too, where they've got a suite downstairs or sometimes 2, and they're reclaiming one of the suites for the rest of the family. The other things that they just omit here is, you know, we've got a pretty big construction shortage. We're not all of a sudden going to start building fourplexes and triplexes all over the place. This is going to take 30, 40 years to really see any results coming from these. And again, I just think a lot of people are not interested. There are going to be some investors that, sure, they'll tear down a Vancouver special and build a fourplex, stratify it and sell it, maybe make a bit of money on it. But it's not going to do anything right now in any way, shape, or form to move the needle on homes for sale or inventory. It's not. Very difficult to still get this stuff built. Takes forever to get it approved. Construction shortage, contractor shortage. And then, as I say, as far as like the west side, they're not interested even in keeping the one-bedroom suites they've got, I find. So it's a pipe dream. It's not going to move the needle. And again, be careful with what these politicians promise. They'll tell you all kinds of great stuff, and it's going to be the utopia here. Look a little deeper into it. It's going to be a lot harder than what they portray it as. A couple other things I want to talk about. Another guy asked me about the Burrard Bridge project, the Jericho lands. Well, hey, those Jericho lands, hey, talk about prime real estate. From what I see, it's going to be 25 to 30 years before those Jericho lands are fully built out. Don't be surprised if that's bandied about for another 10 years before a shovel ever goes in the ground. The project hugging on the Burrard Street Bridge, very poor location. But hey, it's going to be rental buildings. I've done lots of blogs on how we're converting, projects that were going to be stratified condo have now been changed to rental-only buildings. Great, build more rental stock. Those ones hugging up on the Burrard Street Bridge, we need more rental stock. Not the greatest location, but hey, I'm all for more rental stock. As a matter of fact, the Indian land stuff is great. Let them build that. Put the 2,000 units on. The problem I have, though, of course, is these stratified projects that were going to be condo are now going to be rental only. I've been blogging about this nonstop. We need both, and they're canceling stratified condo now downtown. As I said, the headline 10 years from now, guys, the media never tells you about this. The headline 10 years from now is going to be downtown Vancouver for multimillionaires and struggling renters. That's all it's going to be downtown. This is your warning call. You can still buy a good quality strata for $1,000 a square foot. You can still buy a newer concrete strata downtown, 10, 12 years old, for $11.50 a square foot. Those days they're not building any more of that. And the fact that they're not building any more condos, period, they're building rental only, is just going to make those prices spike up even more. Time's running out, though. Final things here, just a few other people were talking about, focusing on real estate and prices and inventory. There's so many of these video blogs out there that give you the day-to-day market stats, inventory's up 2%, down 2%. Guys, I've been pounding home all along here, don't pay too much attention with that stuff. Focus on what you have control over, saving for the down payment, buying your first place, and getting out of that renter treadmill. I've been buying real estate, as you guys know, for 35 years. I never paid much attention to the day-to-day market at all. What I did is I just saved my money, got enough money for a down payment, bought, and then started over again. Saved for the down payment. When I had the down payment in place and was pre-approved, I bought again. I could care less if it was a buyer's market, seller's market, or balance market. Neither should you. Final thing I want to point out here, I had another guy that commented here, this is the last thing. Talking about immigration numbers, and I said, there's something like 40,000 people coming into the Lower Mainland every year for the foreseeable future. As you guys know, Canada has a mandate to bring a lot more new Canadians in, and there's a lot of, uproar about this. Personally, I'm for more immigration. We need it. The reason we're bringing more Canadians in is because we are a huge country and our demographic is aging. We need young blood coming into this country to keep it going. Read into it. But, these people are complaining. We've got 40,000 people coming in every year into the Lower Mainland, and we don't have enough housing for them as it is. They're right. We need to be building more housing, more condos, and more rental housing. That's for another discussion. But this guy was going on saying that, these new immigrants coming in every year, how are they going to buy a house? They're going to be competing against Canadians doing similar jobs. How will they buy? I know some of them bring in money with them, but if we can't buy, or this guy can't buy, how is a new immigrant going to buy? Well, listen here. You should watch my Saturday blog. So I'm not going to get too deep into this. I want to keep this to a couple minutes. But boy, I tell you, this has been in the big talk in the United States as well. So all you have, look no further than Silicon Valley or anyone in the tech sector. It is a high percentage of Indian folks that are in the tech sector, Chinese, Middle Eastern. New immigrants. I work with a lot of people that were not born and raised in Canada. I work with a lot of Chinese buyers. I work with a lot of Chinese sellers. For a Caucasian guy like me, I probably work with 5-fold as many Chinese and Indian clients that a normal Caucasian realtor would work with. Because, hey, they want the best. They do their research. They study it, who's the realtor I need for this neighborhood or this building, and they hire me for it. They want to hire the best. Toot my horn there a little bit. But listen, this has been going on for a long time. People that are new to this country, they are going to buy. They will step over you in a lot of cases, a lot of Canadians. As one guy was saying in the United States, Americans, a lot of these born and bred Americans, they feel entitled. They complain a lot. These people come in from other countries, they hustle. They work. They want to get ahead. How many Saturday blogs have I done on this, on getting your mindset right? The proper mindset that you need, the motivation, the work ethic that you have to succeed in this world. Times are different now. 25 years ago, you were competing against your fellow Canadian. Now you're competing against people from India, from China, from the Middle East, from the United States, everywhere. And that's not going to change. So it all boils down to your work ethic. I'm working with these young buyers all the time from India and China that are in the tech sector, that have worked hard, they've got their education, and then they work, they hustle. And that's what it boils down to. They don't feel entitled. They don't complain. They just put their head down and work. I'm not going to go in too much longer on this. Go to my Saturday blogs for these. But that's going to be the secret here. You're not entitled to anything being born and bred in Canada. I am. But it's a jungle out there. You got to be competitive. And they will. They come to Canada. How many times have I talked about, I'm a proud Canadian, and I think people take for granted how good we have it here. One of the best countries in the world, Canada and the United States, these are the two best places to live. We're blessed to be living in a country like Canada and Vancouver. We're given every opportunity. It's not perfect. I often complain about the taxes and all the other stuff, but gee, I would never give up my Canadian citizenship for anything. We are blessed to be here. These people come in from parts of India and China. They get their citizenship. They get their PR cards. They are in a dreamland here. They understand. Look around. They see opportunity everywhere. They're willing to start from the bottom and move up. They're willing to pay the price and work 12, 13, 14-hour days like I did starting out. And that's going to be the difference here. This guy that wrote this, you should watch my Saturday blogs. You're going to get run over by these people, and that's just the way it is. Life is about what you put into it. And again, this is more for a Saturday blog, but you're not entitled to anything here if you were born in Canada or born in Vancouver. Forget it. Drop it. Stop complaining. If you don't want to buy a house and you're going to complain you're priced out, no problem, but move on with your life. Stop complaining about it and saying how are these new immigrants going to come in and we should stop new immigration and everything else. We need them to come in. We need to keep this country young. We need this country to keep moving. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.